Let's bring in one of my favorite stories in the history of the National Football League. You know, I tell everybody I played 7 years of professional football. I had to go to the Canadian Football League. I had to go to the Arena Football League. I was drafted 56 in the NFL. I played in the NFL, and I played, like I said, in the World League. And I used to just marvel at Kurt Warner. And then when he gets the opportunity in the NFL, he goes on that magical run with the greatest show on turf, and he ends up with a gold jacket. Kurt, it's the greatest story, and I appreciate you doing this, man. It's the greatest story in NFL history, in my opinion, what you went through.
Well, I'm not so sure about that, Dan. It's good to see you. It's good to be on. It has been it's been an incredible journey, and for a long time, I wished it would have played out somewhat differently. But then when I look back now, I'm very grateful that I have a one-of-a-kind, unique story that so many people can pull from. Obviously, they just got done shooting a movie about my life that hopefully will come out here at the end of the year. And so not everybody gets stuff like that. And so I'm grateful and humbled for the journey that I took. And it worked out pretty well for me.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, I have become friends with Mike Martz and Dick Vermeil, and I've known Dick for a long time. And they told me the story after Trent Green, and I go, so what was that decision-making like in the room when you guys went like this? Okay, so we're going to hand the keys of the organization over to Warner. And Vermeil in the room said, there's something about this dude. I don't know what it is. There's something about this guy. And Martz was like, okay, let's go with it here. And really, I mean, I just wonder though, Kirk, how many guys out there are there like you that didn't get that opportunity?
Yeah, it's so hard to say because, it doesn't matter where you come from and where you play college ball and how high you get drafted. I think what you're talking about with Coach Vermeil is his ability to recognize that there was something there and for him to give me an opportunity to show that. But, there's a lot of guys that are talented, but they may not have that other thing that allows them to separate themselves. And when we're talking about NFL quarterbacks and playing at the highest level, I mean, there's 32 of those guys in the world that can start at the NFL level. And so it's a rare, unique thing. Do I think there's other guys out there that are talented? Without a doubt. No question about it. And I wish there was more things like NFL Europe and the Arena League for them to have opportunities to play. I mean, I was so excited last year when the AAF and I'm drawing a blank on the other league.
XFL.
The XFL, sure. Those two leagues were out there, and I'm thinking, okay, this is what we need for guys like myself to get a chance to showcase what they could do. I mean, I was fortunate that there were those leagues that I got a chance to play and get better and for people to see me on whatever scale. So, that's the disappointing part, I think, for me, is where do these guys go? Where would Kurt Warner be now if this was the landscape of football when I was going through, my journey? I have no idea if I would have ever gotten another shot. And so to your point, I believe there's a bunch of guys out there that just need an opportunity to compete and show that they can play at the highest level.
Let's go into the NFL here now, some of the storylines that are out there. And, I've had a bunch of guys on and we've talked about the Aaron Rodgers scenario. And, Kurt, I look at it now because of what Tom Brady did. And maybe even LeBron laid the landscape out for being a mobile athlete. And with the quarterback position becoming so visible now and becomes, you're part of the board of directors now with the amount of money that's being $42 million is being given to Dak. Dude, you're at the board of directors table now. I'm not saying you should have a say, but you should have an opinion that matters to these guys when you're there. I'm just wondering, when you see Tom Brady getting Leonard Fournette, getting Gronk, getting AB, you think that's sending messages out to the rest of these elite guys that, hey, these organizations should be building a championship team around me as well?
Well, yeah, but I think what's happened in Tampa is a rare situation. We talk about LeBron James, and as you talked about, some of the NBA teams that we kind of look at and go, these guys are getting together and going, hey, let's put together some super teams. And there's 4 or 5 of those, every year maybe. The NFL's never had that before. I think it was kind of a perfect storm with Tom Brady in Tampa, where Tom went down there. They had a bunch of great young pieces. Tom went there, and then Gronk goes, oh, well, let me come out of retirement. And then AB goes, well, I want to go down there, or Tom has a little say in that. And then Fournette, goes there, not even necessarily and so all these pieces. And then we've seen that again, is that nobody thought there was any way they were going to bring 22 starters back after winning a Super Bowl. Yet everybody said, why not keep this together? Why not stay around, and we don't have to take quite as much money, and let's have something special. But I think that's a very rare thing. We haven't seen that kind of building of a team. And again, let's not get this wrong, is that, yeah, they have some really good, strong veterans, but they've got some good young pieces that were critical in what they did as well. It wasn't like, hey, we just picked and choose all the great players. We've seen that, teams try to do that in the past, and it hasn't worked out well. They put a team together, but they were fortunate that Tom Brady was able to have a say in getting some, those other guys talked into coming and being a part of something. But I just think that's a rare thing. If we're going to start comparing, our team to what happened in Tampa, I think everybody's going to be disappointed. I think that's going to be hard to do because, that was just, like I said, that was rare. And then the other piece that you were talking about is, yeah, maybe you're at the board of directors table. But my only a point on, all of this is that I have no problem with any player having a say, and especially quarterbacks and who they are. But to me, I know, like when I was playing, there's no way I did any due diligence to know who would made our team better, what we needed. Yeah, I could have went in and said, hey, give me that receiver because he's really good. Or, give me that offensive lineman because I want to be protected. Yeah, I could do that. But, to me, if you're going to do that, you've got to do the work that goes with it. You got to sit in draft meetings. You got to watch film with these guys and go, okay, let's take a look at what we're thinking about, and let's talk about the whole big picture, not just, hey, do you want to bring in this great receiver? Well, yeah, I do. Do we want to draft, skill guys in round one? Yeah, I do. So I think there's more to it than just, hey, this guy makes a lot of money. He's the face of our franchise. He deserves, the right to be listened to, which, yes, I mean, why not? Why would you not listen to, those guys, the Russell Wilsons and the Aaron Rodgers? But again, at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for your team. And if you're listening to those opinions, you better make sure that those opinions, are vetted. Those guys are doing their due diligence and they're understanding what they're asking for. Because if you listen and then you go, well, I'm not really sure he knows, and you go a different route, you're going to have some problems. Even if you listen to what they say, if you go a different direction, that becomes a problem area for me. And so that to me is where the fine line come in here. And you just got to say, okay, if you want to say, we have no problem with that. But come join us for all of these conversations and be a part of all of this so you know where we stand and what we're thinking. So now your opinion can be shaped around what we believe is best for the football team.
Let me slide this over now to Jacksonville and with the Tebow signing. Kirk, I love Tim Tebow's religious convictions. I love the man. I love all the things that he represents. I think the message that he sends is something that we need in this country more and more. I think all of that's great. This is never a personal conversation when we're talking about rosters. But I would think a guy like that bugs you. And I'm talking about the football opportunities, because I'm not talking about the man. We can separate that. The man, I think we both love. I think the guy is without a doubt, God, I'm there with him. I love it all. Okay. But as a guy knowing how those roster spots are given out, those things aren't handed out. Those things are earned. Those chairs in those locker rooms are earned. And a guy who struggled like you, that had to climb up the ladder, I would think that would bug a guy like you more than anyone.
It actually doesn't bug me. Because first point is, I agree with you, is you have to earn the right to make the team. But there's lots of different ways to say you can make a football team better. I tweeted this a few weeks back. I've seen rugby players get opportunities to play in the NFL. I've seen basketball players get signed that never played, football before, that got an opportunity because, hey, we think this guy can make our team better. I believe that's what's happened in Jacksonville. I don't know if anybody thinks he can play tight end, But what Urban Meyer said is, we're building a culture here, and I want guys like Tim Tebow as a part of that culture. I want him in my locker room. How do I get him here? Well, it's not going to be as a quarterback. We tried that. How do I get him here? Well, maybe as a tight end. And so I have no problem with that, because what a lot of people might say is, well, Tim Tebow didn't earn the right to get a tryout as a tight end, which could very well be true. But the reason that he's getting that tryout is because he earned the right to be a part of a team, because that coach believes he can make their team better. And so we can look at it and go, okay, what's it mean to earn the right to, have a chance to try out for a team? Well, to me, at the end of the day, it's, does somebody in that organization believe I can make this team better? Is that catching touchdown passes? Great. Is that throwing touchdown passes? Great. Is that being a change of pace guy? Great. Or is that simply, let's try to find a way to bring this kind of character to our locker room, because I believe it will make a difference in us building this culture? That to me is as earned a right as anything else. Now, at the end of the day, if he can't play and he makes a roster spot, well, now we can have a different kind of argument. But I would still say there's been plenty of guys that I've seen make roster spots that didn't deserve roster spots either. But they felt like, well, maybe down the road, or he's a young guy, or we drafted him. I mean, we can go round and round. To me, there's a reason he got this tryout. We all know it's probably not because they think he can necessarily be an all-star tight end. But I have no problem with that, because his reputation, who he is, being with Urban Meyer, Urban knowing him and seeing his leadership, has earned him a right to, to have this tryout. And now he's going to have to prove it from there. But I have no problem with that, because I've seen it happen in numerous ways. And, and most of the time, let's just be honest, Dan, is most of the time when guys get opportunities, whether they're playing basketball or rugby, is simply because somebody goes, oh, he's a good athlete, let's put him on this team because maybe we can transfer that into playing football. This is one of those that I think is the opposite. I don't know if he can play football here, but because of his character and the man that he is, we want him a part of our team. You could drop down to other levels and you'd say, well, I bet there's been a lot of guys, high school level, coaching staffs, blah, 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 that were signed on because of what they bring to the table as a man, a person of character, the way they build a culture, their leadership, and not as much about necessarily what they do from a performance standpoint. But I think we all know that at the end of the day, he's going to have to perform to some level to make this team. And so that's why I don't really have a problem with it. If he was handed a 53-man spot, having never played the position, I might be going, okay, now, okay, I don't know about this. But he's still got to earn it like everyone else. Hey, I have no problem with anybody getting an opportunity and proving that they belong there for one reason or another. So I don't really have a problem with Tim getting this opportunity.
Kurt, I think you bring up something that Jimmy Johnson brought up on the show. When Jimmy got the job in Dallas, he brought a crap load of Miami Hurricane guys inside the organization there. We were 1-15 that year, but I asked him a couple days ago why he did that. He goes, well, same reason why Tim Tebow is going to be in Jacksonville. Urban Meyer's going to hire, because get this, they had a conversation back and forth, and I think you landed right on it. Ohio State and Gainesville guys are going to be littered on that 90-man roster, because it's not about whether or not these guys can make the team. It's about the culture that they played in that's going to convey to the guys that are in there. So guys are going to know the process that they're looking for, the expectations. So maybe the value, like you said, Kurt, of Tebow being in the room, this is what he wants. This is what's expected. This is how we're going to go through the process of building that. Maybe that's exactly the influence that he's looking for on bringing Tebow in there. Is that fair?
I don't think there's any question about it. I mean, I think we would all say the same thing. Like, if all of a sudden you're starting a business or you're starting, radio show or whatever, the first thing we do is we think about people that we know, people that connect with us, people that we know we can trust and will bring something specific to the table. And we're always going to lean there first because it's comfortable. That doesn't mean they're always the best person, but I know I think that way. Oh man, this person would be great for this position because I know what they're all about. And all the while, I'll be looking for other people and go, hey, maybe I can find somebody that's better or more suited for whatever. But I think we all do that. We want to surround ourselves with people that are like-minded, people that understand who we are, can connect with us, and can make us better, from a synergy standpoint. And so, yeah, I don't think there's any question. When everybody got into this big uproar about this, I was kind of surprised because to me, it was a no-brainer. Like, they're not bringing him here as a tight end. They're bringing him here as a leader and a culture guy, and they're hoping he can play tight end so he can stay around and be a part of this. And we would all do the same thing. We all find roles for people that we know have some value to our organization, even if they're not the front runner, even if they're the third guy down the line. Hey, if he makes it as a third or fourth string tight end and a change of pace quarterback, but he can bring what Tim Tebow can bring to a locker room, okay, is that a win? Does that help Jacksonville? Does that make them better? And that really, to me, was the ultimate question from the get-go. But, I think it got skewed and clouded a little bit because of some of the other scenarios we've seen, recently in our league.
Two last questions for you, Kirk. Let me throw this at you here. I talked to Brian Baldinger about this yesterday, and I said the move of the offseason has to be in San Francisco. When you're able to keep a dude like Jimmy Garoppolo there. Now, look, I know he's missed 53% of his games, but he's 22-8 as a winner. He's got an NFC championship ring in his drawer. The guy's a really fine quarterback when he's healthy, and you were able to move up, and you were able to draft your future, and you're able to keep those guys on the roster at the same time. Who knows what happens? Maybe Garoppolo ends up going on a string where he keeps the gig, he wins Super Bowls. You have an asset there that you could potentially trade away and Trey Lance. I mean, to me, that's the move, is keeping that guy there and having your future at the same time. Do you agree?
Yeah. Only thing I would say is I think at the end of the day, we're going to ask, did they give up too much to do that? Because they do have a really strong team. And I believe they're going to compete this year, assuming their quarterback position plays well, that they're going to compete this year. And so, my only question is, did you have to give all that up to find yourself in this same similar situation with one of these quarterbacks? But again, I mean, we all know the quarterback position, it doesn't matter what you give up if you get one, if you get one that can be that guy. And so that will be the determining factor here. But yeah, I think San Francisco's in a great spot with Jimmy and being able to be there and see what he can be, bring in a young guy that needs some time to grow and figure that out. And, like a lot of teams, the key is that quarterback position, right? How long can you play with a guy on a minimum salary or on a rookie contract? So if he does pan out, man, maybe that means we can keep all of this, all these other guys in place because we've got a good, young, talented team. Sign some of those other guys, and we don't have to pay huge money to a quarterback. And that may help them to sustain this thing for a while. So a lot to be determined. But if this plays out well, I think they're in a great situation to let their guys sit, not have to rush the young quarterback in, and still be a really, really good football team.
Finally here, Jalen Hurts, fan or not a fan of him in Philadelphia?
I like Jalen. I think he's a competitor. I think he's a winner. And that, to me, those things are the things that I think he's a leader. I should add that as well. Just watching what he did in college and how he carried himself and the way people feel about him, that to me is what first and foremost you want at that position. Now, I'm not sold that that he's going to be a great elite quarterback from the standpoint of skill set and physically throwing the football, because I haven't seen enough of it yet. I think he brings a lot of things to the table. I think a team can win with him because of those other intangibles and his, the ability to move and make plays and be a playmaker. But I still need to see more from a every down consistency standpoint as a passer to know what kind of quarterback he'll be throughout his career. But this, to me, was, the right move, the only move that Philly could make after some of the things he did early was, we got to give this guy a chance. We got to see what he can be in that starter's role. And I think we'll all get a better idea of who he is and who he's going to be at the NFL level this coming year.
The toughest job that you have, I don't know how you get a word in with Michael Irvin sitting there on that desk. I know playmaker 30 some odd years. And, when I'm in a room with him, man, I shut up too. And I'm big mouth. And hey, he looks like he loves you though, man.
He's good people. We love our show. We have so much fun together. You're right. It's always a challenge to get Mike to quiet down and try to speak over him when you got something of quality to say, because he just gets bigger and louder. But we do. We truly love each other, and we have a blast on our show. And it's what makes 4 hours fun. It's what makes people want to watch us, is because we truly do like each other, and we're close friends. And I think we can all laugh at each other too. And that's a great thing about Michael and really all the guys on our set, is that he doesn't take himself too seriously. He knows who he is, and he has fun with it, and he's able to laugh at himself. And that's just kind of a part of our show. And so Irv's a great dude with a great heart, and I love working with him every week.
Absolutely, man. You guys do a great job. And Kurt, I really appreciate you taking time all the time for me, man. When you have that moment on your calendar for me, man, you're always spectacular. God bless you and your family. I can't wait to see the movie when it comes out. We'll be pimping that bad puppy out there, because I think it's a story every kid should know, that there's somebody out there. Ryan Tannehill's probably going to look at that story and go, I know exactly what he's talking about there. Okay.
Yeah.
They gave up on me. Now look at me. I'm making $30 million a year in Tennessee. So thank you so much, Kurt.
You bet, Dan. Anytime, Eddie.
You got it, man. The legendary Hall of Fame quarterback, Kurt Warner there. It's one of the greatest stories of all time, and the story is just absolutely legendary. All right, we'll take a quick timeout. We're going to run down our friend Tony Bruno. You keep it here on the National Football Show.